Welcome to the God Talk Radio, a Christian podcast looking at God's Word as an instruction manual for life on earth. Remember, if all else fails, follow the directions.
Great idea. Life can be difficult, but we have His words to guide us. Let's join Chris right now for the God Talk.
Well, today we are in the message series called In the Gap. And we've been looking at who we were, who we are, and who we want to be. And we've been looking at this concept of being in the gap, being in these different gaps of life. So often we can be in a gap of life that we weren't expecting. We can often be in a gap of life that we didn't really want, or that we didn't really feel like we needed to be in. And so often God will put us in these gaps, will put us in these storms, so that He can show us who He is. And so this week's we're going to be looking at the gap of comparison. It's so easy to compare our lives to others. It's so easy to compare our lives to those around us. But God says, do not compare your life to others, but compare your life to mine. So often we look at other people's lives, we look at other people's challenges, we look at what other people have, and we say to ourselves, man, I want that. And so often that's me. So often I will be looking at what other people have, what other people have, what other people want, and I say, I want that. Recently, one of my best friends got engaged, and it was an awesome moment for him, and I'm sure he's happy. And I stopped and I thought, how can my best friend have a girlfriend of 2 years and get married, and I'm still here single? And we often look at our lives, we often look at what other people have. We look at what we don't have and we say, man, I want that. I want what other people have. But we see that even though we might not have what other people have, we have what God has given us. And what God has given us is more powerful. It's more powerful than all the things in this world, because He is doing something. He is making a way in our lives and through our lives, so that we can know His purpose and His plan for us. And so today we're going to be looking at the story of Joseph. We're going to be looking at the story of Joseph and how his brothers compared their lives to his. They looked at Joseph as the younger brother. They looked at Joseph as the brother who didn't have to do much, who was the younger brother, who got all the special treatment because the person who gave birth to him was too old. And so we see that in the story of Joseph, God did a work in him and in his family, so that this king could arise from the ashes. Isn't it funny how we can often compare our lives? We can compare our lives before we get to know that person's life. We compare our lives, and we say, I want what he has. But if we say, well, if I want what he has, then that means that we get his struggles and his doubts and his insecurities too. We often look and say, I want that. We look down and we say, I want what that other person has. I want that car. But secretly knowing, or secretly not knowing, that this person has to work each and every single day just to keep the car. Or you don't know that every single day his ex is trying to get that car from him. And he has to fight to keep the car. He has to fight to maintain the car. We often look at other people, what other people have. We often look at other people's shoes and we say, I want that. I want that. But looking at someone's shoes doesn't often mean that they can use them properly. Sometimes shoes are just something that's worn to cover their feet. I once watched this video of a little boy, and maybe some of you guys have seen this on Facebook, maybe not, but it was this video of this little boy, and he was in these ratty clothes and these beat up shoes. And so one day he came to a bench. And he looked at this boy next to him. And he thought, you know what? I want what this boy has. This boy has nice shoes. This boy has something that I don't. And we see that now. This boy, he's thinking, I want what he has. He has nice clothes. He has nice shoes. I wish I could be him. And so his wish came true. And he became that kid. But he quickly realized this boy couldn't walk. This boy couldn't do things on his own. He needed the help of a wheelchair to get around. He needed help from other people. And isn't it amazing how we are often like that? How we will look at what other people have. We will look at what we don't have. We say, I want what he has. But yet we aren't willing to put in the work to see our own goals fulfilled. We won't put in the work to see what God has in store for us. We only look at what we want. We only look at what we want, what the other people can give us. We often look at our lives and say, I want happiness. I want fulfillment. I want all these different things. And just like in the story of Joseph, these brothers are saying, I want what Joseph has. Joseph doesn't even have to do any work. We have to go out and tend these sheep. We have to get up early and we're gone till late at night, herding these sheep and doing all the work, and Joseph's just sitting there playing. That's not fair to us. Yeah, you guys know what it means to have a younger sibling. Yeah, you know what they're going through. But we see that the brothers are comparing their life to Joseph, not realizing that Joseph is going to be the one who has to go through all these hard times. Joseph is going to be the one who was sold into slavery. Joseph is going to be the one who has to work for a man named Potiphar. Joseph is the one who's going to have to run out of Potiphar's house. Joseph is going to be the one locked in prison for a long time, forgotten. Joseph is going to become the new ruler of Egypt, or be the right hand, the ruler of Egypt. We often don't know what God has planned for us, but we see that God will do all these things for the good. And so, if you guys have your Bibles, we're going to be in Acts 7 verse 9. Acts 7 verse 9. And I'm going to give you a short rundown. Joseph's mother was named Sarah. She was approximately 90, which after a certain age, you can't have any more kids. No matter how many times you pump it out, It's just not happening. And we see that the angel of the Lord came down to her and said, "You're going to have a son, and you're going to name him Joseph." And just like Mary, Sarah was given this great gift, and she was able to give birth to a young, healthy baby boy named Joseph. And Joseph had like 6 or 7 older brothers. And once Joseph was born, they were all like, "Yeah, we're going to have a younger brother around. It's going to be great. He's going to be able to help us with everything." And then their expectations got crushed as he got older, because they found out that Joseph was special and he was getting all this special treatment. And it felt like their parents loved him more. And God gave him this gift to interpret dreams. So one day, Joseph tells his brothers, "Yeah, guys, guess what? I had this dream. Want to hear about it?" They were like, no. He was like, "All right, cool. So, what happened was, you guys were bowing down to me. Yeah, it was cool. You guys were on your knees bowing down to me. I was king, and you were nothing." And it says that they got mad. But we see that Joseph had that dream, but he didn't interpret it right. So often we look at other people's lives and we say, "I want what he has." We get mad at what they have. We say, "I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. I don't want to be sick anymore. I want those nice shoes. I want that nice car. I want that nice apartment. I want that girlfriend." Even though every single thing that person wants has commitment and also challenges. So we see that Joseph didn't interpret it right. He said, "You guys were bowing down to me," but not realizing that God gave him a vision for things to come and things not seen. And so Joseph was too young to correctly interpret that dream. What Joseph actually meant to say was, "When I get older, you guys will bow down to me, because you would have sold me into slavery. You're going to disown me, discard me like I'm a piece of meat. And one day, when you guys are very old, you guys are going to be bowing down to me. I'm going to have what you need. Not what you want, but what you need. Because I will become someone of great significance and power." But we see that Joseph didn't interpret the dream correctly the first time. And so it says, in verse 9 of Acts 7, it says, because the participants were jealous of Joseph, or because his brothers were jealous of Joseph, they sold him as a slave into Egypt. But God was with him and rescued him from all his troubles. He gave Joseph wisdom and enabled him the grain of willpower of Pharaoh's king of Egypt. So Pharaoh made him the ruler over Egypt and all his places. I'm going to stop right there. We often look at the story of Joseph and we think to ourselves, yeah, that's cool. He gets sold into slavery. He becomes a big deal, and that's awesome. That's great. But what we don't see is the trouble and heartache that he had to go through. So often we compare our lives. We look at other people's lives, and we say, "I want what he has," not realizing that they had to go through the same thing as Joseph. Maybe not being sold into slavery, maybe not being disowned, but they had their own battles, their own storms that they had to overcome, that they are going through, that they had to see God before he was able to do anything in their lives. So often we are blind to the things of God. We are blind to the purpose that He has for us today. We are blind to the things not seen. And we're blind to what God has put in front of us. And we look at our lives, and we compare our lives, and we say, I want what He has. I want what you have. Not realizing that that person had to go through the same thing that Joseph did. Maybe some of you today are like this woman. We often look at girls and say, oh my gosh, they're so pretty. And we have so many girls out there today saying, I want to look like that girl. Not realizing that that girl's been called ugly her entire life, but bullied because of her looks. The only reason that she looks so good is because she never wanted to feel that pain again. That person who dresses in really nice clothes and always has all the really nice stuff used to be poor. Used to have to beg for every single thing he had. And he had to save up his money so that he could get out of that rut. We look at the person with the newest phone, even. And I know it's crazy. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, the new phone? Who cares? But really, so many of us will get so hurt, will get so jealous over the person who has the newest phone. And we say to ourselves, man, I only have this LG that came out last year. But no, I want the new Samsung Galaxy. And we look at other people's phones and we say, oh my gosh, my phone is so old. Even though I have the newest version of my phone's so old. We say, I want that new phone. I want the phone that he has. Not realizing that that person had to work every single day for the last 6 months just so he could get the phone. That person had to work for 6 months just to be able to get 50 gigs of data. We often look at other people's lives and we compare it to our lives. We're saying that person's life is better than mine, but God called you for a purpose. It said in the Bible that all these people got that jealous of Joseph. The Pharaoh got jealous. His brothers got jealous. Potiphar got jealous. His wife got jealous. Every person around him got jealous of Joseph. Not realizing his struggles and his pains. We often look at the stories in the Bible and we say, man, I want to be more like Abraham. Yeah, because Abraham had many sons. Abraham was the father. Everyone loved Abraham. Abraham was great. He was the man. Not realizing that Abraham had to follow Christ so that God could give him the commandments for this life. To give him the commandments for this life. We often look at all these different things in our lives and we compare it. We compare our lives to the things that are unseen. We see that his brothers were comparing their lives, saying, I want what Joseph has. Yeah, I want to be able to interpret dreams. I want to be able to do these things. I want my parents to shower me with gifts. Shower me with gifts and give me this robe. This robe, unlike any other. This robe that is greater, that is majestic. I want what he has. But not realizing that Christ was doing a work in him. He said, you might be right now showered in greatness. You might be showered in gold, but as quickly as you're showered in gold, quickly you will be down in the dirt. Quickly you will be stripped of nothing, in the wilderness naked, so that you can see who I am, so that you can rely on me. So often, we look at our lives and we say, I'm on top of the world. And we have this feeling like everything is going our way. And we're on top of the world. And we're great. And as quickly as we feel like we're on top of the world, we feel like we're at the bottom. Saying, how could this happen? How could I let this happen? Christ will often say, you know what? You have to rely on me. So that in these coming days, in these following weeks, in these following months, you will rely on me. You will rely on my goodness and my strength. You will rely on me. And so we see that even as we rely on God, we will often have these moments of doubt. We will often have these moments of pain. We will often have these moments of comparison. But Christ says, do not compare your life, because I have given you this life that is majestic, this life that is beautiful. And you might go through some hard times. No doubts about it. But I will be right there with you. Because what happened to Joseph? Joseph was sold into slavery. Joseph was disowned by the people who were supposed to love him most. Joseph was stripped of his robe and thrown into a hole. Joseph had to clean houses, had to become a slave, had to become a prisoner. So often we will feel like we become slaves. We become prisoners before we can feel like a king. Because Christ says you need to rely on me. Bad things happen, but rely on me to see it through. Just as these things are going on in the world, I bet a million of you today who are listening from this, who have been going through this storm or having to deal with the storm in Houston, Texas, or wherever it is in Texas. And we often look at that story. We often look at those people and say, you know what? That really sucks for you. I'm sitting up here in Miami. I'm sitting up here in California. I'm sitting up here in Wisconsin. And I'm doing just great. And we feel sorry for them. We're like, there's nothing really we can do. But we can see that those people in Houston, they're comparing their lives to someone else's life. So they're saying, man, I wish that I didn't live here. I wish that I was this person who lived in this big, huge house that didn't have as much water in it. I wish that I was this person where I was able to get all my stuff out of the house before the storm hit. And we see that they compare the life, but Christ says, this life that I've given you has a purpose and a plan. All the things that were destroyed can be bought again, can be restored. But the things that I've given you right now, that's a lifetime. We see that Joseph had to take what he had, and he had to realize that his life had a purpose. His life had a plan. And he did not need to compare his life, because Christ gave him the life to live the life that he wanted him to live. And he realized that he no longer needed to compare his life, because I bet Joseph probably started to compare his life to the life of his brothers, thinking, man, I wish I was like one of my brothers right now. I wish I was like Reuben, strong and mighty, be able to pick up those big, huge boulders, or be able to pick up these many sheeps. I wish I was like my other brother, Ryan. I just wish that I wasn't here anymore, that I was Ryan, and I would be out in the fields tending to the sheep instead of sitting here in this dark, damp cell. Comparison. Christ says, do not compare your life, because I've given you this life for a purpose and a reason. This purpose and reason is bigger than your understanding right now. But all you need to know is that through your life, people will listen. Through your life, people will see. Through your life, people will come to know me because of who I am and who you have been called to be. So do not compare your life to others, because I've given you this life. I'm giving you this life. I know that might sound like a broken record, saying that he's given you this life, but some of you today need to hear this, because you've been comparing your life for so long. You've been comparing your life to the life of your friend, your family, that person on TV. We've been comparing our life for so long that we forget who we are. We forget that Christ has a plan and a purpose for our life. And we no longer need to compare our life, because we know how precious ours is. We say, you know what? I might not look as pretty as that girl on TV, but I know that one day a guy's going to find me beautiful. I don't need that new phone that somebody else has, because my phone is working. I can make calls, and that's all that matters. We might say to ourselves, man, I don't need those shoes, because I might not have the best shoes, but at least I'm able to walk. I once saw a video, or it was either video or pictures on Facebook, and it started out with this man in a car, and he looked over, and he was at a stop sign. He looked over and he said, man, I wish I had a better car. And I went from one man to another, saying, man, I wish I had a better car. Man, I wish I had a car. Man, I wish I had a bike. Man, I wish I was able to walk. Man, I wish I was able to go outside. Man, I wish that I was able to do these different things. So often, we look and compare our lives, not realizing that someone else might be saying, man, I wish I just had what you had. So often, we aren't grateful for the things in our life. We see that Joseph had to learn to become thankful to God because of all these people who took care of him and who loved him through this hard journey. And so we see that Joseph was loved. He might have gone through hard times, but we see at the end of these chapters, at the end of all this hardship and pain, people loved him. People adored him because of who he was. He stayed true to the followings of Christ. So I want to ask you guys this question today. Are you staying true to who you are? Or are you comparing your life to someone else's? Because Joseph, he didn't compare his life. But he embraced his life. He embraced the fact that, yeah, I might be in this jail, but since I'm in this jail, I might as well praise God. And we see that through his praise. Pharaoh had a dream, and he was like, man, I have this dream, and I don't know what it is, I don't know what it means, but can anyone tell me what it means? They're like, yeah, you have someone in your dungeon right now, and his name's Joseph, and he can interpret dreams. And they were like, the king was like, bet. And the servants were like, bet. And they were like, all right, go get him. So they went and got him. And he interpreted it. And the king was like, bet? How have you locked up so long? You're so useful. And through his praise, God worked out a miracle. And he became the right hand of Egypt. If we stop comparing our lives, we will start to see God's glory. If we stop comparing our lives to what other people have, we will see that Christ is doing a work in us, a greater work than we could ever know. a greater work that is bigger than our understanding. So stop comparing your life. Usually in the message series with, what would you guys do? What would you guys do? You guys would follow God with everything you have in you. And so that's what I asked you guys. Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for us to do what Christ has called you to do? Yeah, we can do what our dogs called us to do. Yeah, we can do what our favorite football teams can do. But when it comes to faith, followers, and family members, why is it so hard for us to know we can only do what He has called us to? This week says, stop comparing your life. Yeah, we can compare our lives to our dogs. Yeah, we can compare our lives to our favorite football teams, but when it comes to faith, followers, and family members, stop comparing your life. And with all that in your head, with all that going around, will you let me pray for all of you tonight? God, you're a gracious God. Lord, I just want to thank you so much for who you are and what you've done. Lord, you have called us to do and be more than what we're doing and being. Lord, help us not to compare our lives to others, but help us to embrace our lives. Lord, we might be going through a storm. We might be like Joseph, where we're disowned, disliked. But Lord, help us to know that there is a purpose in this pain, a purpose in this trial, a purpose where we are right now. Lord, help us not to compare our life, because the life that you've given us is greater than we could ever imagine. And Lord, that you will do all these things for our good. Lord, as we see our friends get married, as we see our friends and other people advance, Lord, we know that we might be behind right now, but Lord, we know that we will catch up. So Lord, help us to know that we no longer need to compare our lives. Lord, break our hearts, for it breaks yours. I just pray this all in your very awesome, your very glorious name. Amen. If you guys have any questions about today's program, please email me at thegodtalkradio@gmail.com. Comment below. We'll go to the God Talk Radio at facebook.com, twitter.com, and youtube.com. And you can also find me on SoundCloud. And with all that said, your host, Chris Margaret. I'll catch you guys later.